the 6 Ds of real estate. There's some things out there with 5 Ds, but I have a sixth D. So if we have not met, I've been in this lovely industry for over 20 years. I am the admin of the solo agent group here at Real Broker and also BGX, which is Boomer Gen X group. And we have groups for everyone here. So you can find a niche group that's going to be perfect for you. And I am known as the queen bee of real estate niches. I specialize in a couple of niches, probate real estate and seniors that are downsizing. I do have a course called the Probate Real Estate Boot Camp, and I am always teaching, training, discussing, encouraging agents to choose a real estate niche on the listing side in particular in their business. There's great niches on the buyer side too. So I have a great free uh, guide for you guys, and it breaks down everything that you want to know about real estate niches, about 25 listing niches, 25 buyer niches. I'll drop it in the chat here in just a few minutes, and we'll be off to the races. So welcome, welcome. And I'd love this to be a interactive session. So I love to talk, but I'd love to hear from you guys. So drop a 1 in the chat if you have a real estate niche and what that niche is. If you don't mind, I'd love to see who has something that they work with, whether it's on the buyer side or it's on the listing side. I'd love to hear what you're doing on the niche side of things. And I'm going to grab the copy of the free guide for y'all. So hold on, grabbing, multitasking today. All right, so I'm going to pop the free guide in the chat. So, and then let me look at the chat. Okay, so did anybody drop what their niche is in the chat? Okay, and if you don't have one, that's fine. This link that I just popped in here, tap on that. You'll get a free guide. It's 9 pages. It's all about niches and talks about probate real estate as well. Okay, so what I want to do today is talk about the 6 Ds of real estate, because there are quite a few different types of niches that you can get involved in. And a lot of this can be on the listing side, which is really a great place to be right now. So typically, these are key life events that are happening that lead to somebody selling a home or buying a home. And it's all about motivation. So I'm going to talk about death, divorce, debt, di diplomacy, i.e., relocation, downsizing, and diapers. Now, I used to be a first-time homebuyer specialist when I first got into the business. I don't do as much of that now, other than referrals from my kids. And my kids are older. So they have a lot of friends that, at some point they're buying real estate. I just sold a property to I just sold a property that was a first time home buyer property, a friend of my daughter's. Now they made a relocation move to Charlotte. So that's the diplomacy, the relocation, job relocations, military deployment, and other moves that often prompt the need to sell or buy a property in a new location. So let's start with that one. That's the first one, diplomacy. The second one I talk about is death. That's estate sales, inherited properties, probate transactions that occur when someone dies. And that can be a very lucrative niche. It's one that I've been in for 10 years. And trusts fall into that, by the way. And so typically, with that particular D, highly motivated sellers, they don't want to hold on to the property. They're ready to get their money. There's deferred maintenance. There's a lot going on with properties that get inherited. And a lot of times people they don't want them for whatever reason. The second D I'm going to mention to you is divorce. Divorcing couples, need to sell their property in many cases. One person cannot handle the property. So the thing about that is there's a divorce decree, and you have to be very fair in those circumstances and make sure that you are doing what you need to do to inform all parties. And that's a real win-win. Okay, because when you're working with people that are going through divorce, what happens is they're selling the property. One of them typically wants to buy a property, maybe both of them, or maybe they'll both be renters for a while, but you could potentially have three transactions out of the out of the out of the transaction itself. Debt. So debt would be financial strain. It can lead to downsizing. It can lead to foreclosure. It's a need to sell the home to pay off debt for whatever reason that is, whatever the debt is. We may see more of that, but as of today, with the interest rate drops, which is thankful for that. You know, when it comes to somebody who is in foreclosure, my first thought is, how can I be a resource to them to have them save their house if they want to save their house? That's a big thing for me because back in 2011, my own home was in foreclosure because of the housing crash and the financial crash. And it is a very scary place to be. And I talked to somebody, I had somebody that I went to and said, this is what I want to do. I need to save my house. How do I do it? And they had people to help me do that. And I was able to do that. So find out why somebody really is in foreclosure. Have they talked to their lender? Do they want to keep the home? Sometimes they don't. So debt is another one of the D's. The diplomacy piece, which I mentioned at the beginning, job relocations, military deployment, or other moves that prompt the need to sell or buy a property. Downsizing. How many of you are empty nesters? That would be me. A lot of times empty nesters are taking a cue from millennials right now, which is they don't want the big house anymore. They want to travel, they want to explore, they want to enjoy the third chapter of their life, which typically is when you're doing the empty nesting. Uh, Retirees are finding that a two-story home isn't necessarily something that works well for them. Maybe going up and down stairs is difficult, right? Also with downsizing, what I deal with my seniors is that they're going to assisted living, they're going to independent living. Oh, they're going to they're going to memory care for a variety of reasons. So it just really depends on why they're doing the downsizing. So I've worked with seniors for a number of years, almost the same amount of time that I've worked with probate. And the fact of the matter is, especially here in Florida right now, the assessments that are being applied to the condo market in particular is horrendous. And the people that own the condos there, especially people that are seniors, they can't afford it. They can't afford the assessment. They can't afford the new monthly fees. So that's going to be a big problem. It's already a huge problem, but it's going to be a bigger problem. The other thing is if you're in an HOA that does assessments as well, if you're in an HOA that has a clubhouse and they all decide, your lovely board decides that they want to redo that clubhouse and assess everybody. So that's a big reason why we do see seniors making moves: health, financial reasons, or empty nesters who just they're ready. They just want to downsize and have a something they can lock up and go on a cruise or go on a trip or whatever. And then the other D, number 6, is diapers. Growing families, new additions, having kids, things like that. Now, diapers can also mean maybe you have a parent or a loved one who's not well or who has issues needing to live with you too, right? So there's more to that with, it's not just about children. So the 3: death, divorce, debt, diplomacy, downsizing, and diapers. So those are 6 great areas for agents to really focus on, and that they can add to their niche tool belt depending on what your comfort level is. What are you passionate about? Like, you can't force yourself to be in a niche that you don't understand or you don't like or you don't want to learn, right? And that's always been kind of an interesting thing because you can see like different niches that are awesome, but then you're like, is that something I would really like sink my teeth into? Do I understand it? What do I need to learn? You know, how do I need to learn that? And with all of these type of niches, you know, the goal is to become the go-to agent. You want to be the go-to agent. You want to be that specialist, that expert in the area. So you got to do old school stuff. It's not the word I want to use. And old school stuff is putting information out there about who you are, branding yourself, networking yourself, going to organizations and groups, right? A lot of these involve the attorney uh, network. So you want to get to know some good attorneys. You want to get to know like a probate attorney, an elder law attorney, somebody who might do bankruptcy, right? You might want to start expanding your network. All it takes is a Google search to see who, 10 attorneys are in your area that you could start networking with, right? All of their contact information is there. You could do a handwritten note. I did several handwritten notes uh, a few weeks ago, and I included like a QR code in my handwritten note for attorneys so they could see my landing page that I have for probate, for example. Today, I sent out an email to 114 attorneys. I have a list. Reconnecting. Summer is over. Who do I want to add? Who do I want to talk to? Who do I want to interview maybe on my podcast? Like, what can I offer to them so that they'll consider referring, their clients to me? So the networking piece and getting involved in the arenas where you want a niche is really important. I always use pickleball as an example because with the rise of pickleball, and some of you may play pickleball, is that if you sink your teeth into that one and you talk about pickleball and you do articles about pickleball and you do Instagram reels about pickleball, the best pickleball courts in your area, the public pickleball courts in your area, when is the next pickleball tournament? What are the best pickleball paddles that you can use? Now you can like pop in the affiliate links from Amazon, wink, wink. That's a little sidebar on that. You become that go-to person for pickleball, right? So the same thing applies with the 6Ds. You want to implement articles about probate, for example. I have articles, I have videos about probate, working with probate. What are 5 things that a personal representative needs to do, or in your state, it might be an executor, to get a property ready for sale, right? Biggest problem with probate is deferred maintenance. Always, always. Biggest problem with seniors that are downsizing, deferred maintenance every time. There isn't that, and cleaning out the house, like cleaning out any clutter, cleaning out the furniture and all that jazz. So again, you can pick a niche that you are passionate about. I would say you want to pick a niche on the listing side sooner than later. As we come into fourth quarter, being a listing agent gives you freedom. It really does. You have control, you have a contract, and you can really narrow down your marketing efforts to that niche. And then you can work with buyers by referral or however you want to do it. I've been like, in this business for a long time. I work buyers by referral. I don't really source them. They come to me, and usually because I'm in South Florida and Boca Raton, they're referrals that are relocating here. So there's a variety of ways to get yourself into whichever niche you want. If you, again, I've got a link here for a guide. So if you want to grab my guide on niches, it's very enlightening. It'll really give you some great ideas on things that you may have thought about and then forgotten, because we all do that. We're like, oh, that would be a great thing for me to get into. You know, I'll give you an example. Here's another good example. Um, I had talked to an agent, this is several years ago when I was teaching Instagram. And it turned out he said to me, he goes, I am I went to the Culinary School of America. He's a chef. I said, you're kidding. He's like, no. I said, dude, if it were me, I'd be niching down to every chef, every cook, anyone who's in that genre, and I'd be doing videos in my kitchen, cooking and showcasing maybe a product that maybe you got on Amazon or you got from one of the high-end cooking stores or whatever it is, Williams and Sonoma, or like I'm a thrifter. I found like some really cool bowls that I can't remember the name of them, but they're always in demand and I got a great deal on them. But I told him, I said, if you decide that you want to incorporate a niche based on your hobby, go for it. You can have more than one niche, by the way. You can have micro niches, you can have a main niche, you can have a hobby niche. My kids are so funny. Kylie and Nick were here. Kylie's my oldest daughter, and she's in Pittsburgh. And we were dying laughing. She's like, none of us really have hobbies other than my husband, Andy. He's a fisherman, he's a captain. So he's got a hobby. He's a fishing, fish, 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 fish. Trust me, I fish all over my damn house. But we were laughing so hard because I said, well, I thrift. Isn't that a hobby? And it is. But, some people are hardcore hobbyists, right? I just am not that person. And Kylie and I can kind of narrow it down. We are true Aries people. So we love everything. We love to do everything. We love to cook. We love to eat out. We love to go thrifting. We love to travel. Like we love a lot of stuff. But the value in niching down in your business to something is huge. You will not lose money by adding a niche to your current business. I'll never tell an agent, stop what you're doing and just do this niche. You need to add it to what you're doing and then see if it becomes more profitable to focus on that more than all over the place, right? So those are just a few things I wanted to share with y'all today and let you know that, there's a lot of opportunity out there. This is the time of year that you probably want to do some business planning. And the 60s of real estate are a great place to start because life events don't get tied to the economy as much as tire kickers. And what you don't want is you don't want tire kickers for buyers. You don't want tire kickers for sellers. And one of the things that I'm adding to my probate real estate bootcamp course, Terry, you're going to love this, is a big ass questionnaire for personal representatives and executors. And it's very detailed. And it's based on some of the things I've even dealt with. Because one of the things that comes up is, well, if I don't sell, because typically they're really motivated, I can rent it. Okay, we never talked about that, but you know what? Let's talk about that. And it turns out they never want to rent it, but it just comes up. So I'm putting something really special together for that. But the life transitional segments, you've got to be a person of heart because you are dealing with grief, whether it's a loved one who has Alzheimer's or Parkinson's or something else, or a loss, a death of someone. It's not just transactional. So just remember that you have to have, empathy and expertise, and you have to come like with a solution oriented mindset, not just transactional. And I think these are the sort of things that if you look into it, and for agents that have been in the business for a while, you do start to burn out. And it's the real deal. And burning out typically happens when you're running around with a lot of buyers. So if you can get the listing side, set up and start practicing that along with your buyers, when you decide that maybe you don't want to run around all weekend with buyers, that you've got at least some listing inventory you can lean on, or you take those buyers and you refer them to someone locally hopefully with Real Broker, that can help you. And that's something that, I've got some good agent partners here in South Florida now. We were a little light for a while, and now we have some really, like, we've got a lot more people here. So now I've got some people to lean on, and I've got some people to lean on if I go out of town and I need someone to maybe cover me because I'm not a team, I'm a solo agent. So anyways, with that being said, if anybody has any questions for me, feel free, drop them.